Right. The major difference between any of the projects we've done on FreeCodeCamp so far and the projects in this section is that now we are responsible for writing any tests for the apps we're building. And we have been introduced to testing in the section, or to writing tests. And because of that, we can have some idea of how tests are written. But truth be told, that introduction is not that good, and writing tests require a different way of thinking. It's not just about knowing how to do programming. You need to know what you're actually testing for. Why do you write a test? So it requires a bit of trial and error and actually writing a lot of tests, because as you write a lot of tests, you learn how to write them, obviously. We don't have to think too much ourselves here. That's good, actually. It actually is good, because FreeCodeCamp helps us on the way. We get these test suites set up, and we get the tests prepared. So this one is actually done already. We don't have to do anything here. So they show us how we should do these tests, how we should write them. However, they only do one. We have to do the others, both in the functional tests and in the unit tests. So that's something to think about. We're gonna do the functional tests in this part, and then I'm gonna say the unit tests for the next part. Before writing the tests, however, we should go to the package.json file, because I don't know if they missed it or what's going on, but they don't actually tell us how to run these tests. Even if you do what it says in here, they tell you to set node _env to test. But that doesn't help us at all, really, because what this does is that it attempts to run tests, but it doesn't know how to run those tests, because we don't tell it how to run those tests anywhere. And to find that out, I had to Google a bit. I actually found a guy who had done some Chai and Mocha tests before, and who knew how to run these. And I don't actually know if this is the way it's done. I'm more used to Jest, and Jest has a different way of doing this. But we could do something like this. We could do make a script here that's called something like, let's do functional test. This is really ugly. Let's do that. And there we just write Mocha / I guess double slash UI tdd tests / and then we have to look at the file name here, so 2_functional tests.js. And we can make another one here that's a unit tests, because we're gonna need that in the next part anyway. So we're gonna do a Mocha UI tdd tests 1 unit tests.js. And again, I don't know if this is how it's done in Chai and Mocha professionally, or how do you do it there, but I don't really care, because I don't use Chai and Mocha professionally. I use Jest, because I think it's a lot better, and it works a lot better with the systems I work with. Anyway, these are good to have in memory, because we're going to use these in the next few projects as well. And this is enough to actually run our tests. So we could cancel this node application. Something that's good to know about both unit tests and functional tests are that they should be able to be run offline. So if you just cancel or stop your application and then go for something like npm run unit tests, you can see it fails on everything, and that's because obviously there is nothing here. This one probably shouldn't fail, I think. something may be wrong. Anyway, we're gonna do the other one right now. So we're gonna do the functional tests. And what you could do here, oops, what did I write? Functional tests. Oh, let's actually do that. So, right. Anyway, we're running that, and we're getting a lot of errors currently. What we could do here as well is something like this. We just have it watch that, and that means that we don't have to rerun these every time. That's up to you if you want to do or not. For this application, we don't actually have to do that, so I'm just going to leave it like this. And we're going to go into functional tests, and we're going to start writing tests. These test suites are not extremely important or anything. This is a way to structure tests. You can say that we have a suite here called functional tests, and we have another suite inside of that that's called routing tests. So you could have several different ways, several different kinds of functional tests. You can also have several different kinds of routing tests. This is one route, but again, we only have one route, so we don't have to test any other routes. So inside of this test suite, we have all of the tests that's connected to this route. And obviously all of these suite tests are the ones that belong to routing tests and so on. So in here, what we're doing is the Chai way of testing. So this is just a description for us, and that's what's coming out here, so we know which test it is that's failing. So we're passing in done, and done is just because we have to tell Chai that the test is done for some reason. I don't really know why Chai works like that. Anyway, we request the server, and then we get this API route, and then we do a query. And the thing we're doing here is essentially the same thing as going in here, and instead of that we write this. So that's the same thing, but we're telling the test that it should do that for us. And then you have a .end here, and here inside of this you write everything that you expect to be true, basically, or false for that matter. So this test is kind of unnecessary, but it's nice to have, I guess. What this does is essentially just that it checks if you have a status code of 200, which means that it has a response and it's okay and stuff. You're also checking this one, or they are. This is a FreeCodeCamp test. So this one is looking for the initial number to be 10, which is the one we're sending in. And it should have an initial unit of L, which is the one we're sending in. And then they have this approximately. And because they're using approximately there, they have another argument on the end. And what this 0.1 means is that it can have a deviation of 0.1, and that means that it can round up or down, and the test is still valid. So this 6, I believe this can be a 7 or 5, and the test still passes. And then you have this one, obviously. The return unit should be gallons if you pass in liters. And this one shouldn't really fail, I think. That's not really good for us that it does. Anyway, we can go down here to the next one and start writing our own tests. So inside the test, you have chai.request server. And this is something that in this project, this is going to be confusing and difficult and so on. And by the time you're at the last project in this section, you're going to notice that it's written like this. This is just something This is how you write a test in Chai, basically. So we're gonna have to write a get. We're gonna get API / convert, and then we're gonna have a query. And this actually has to have dot get, because this one's connected to this one. This is the same function chain. I don't know what it's called. Then we have a query, and the query should be input. We always have input in this project because we only have inputs. So here we should have a invalid unit input. So what we're doing here is that we're saying 3 slash no, like so. 32 grams is what we should have. And the reason why this is invalid isn't because grams is an invalid unit, but because we're not handling it. So that should be invalid. And then we can have something like end function rs, and so, and here we start with assert.equal rest.status is 200, and this is to check that the test works. Basically, you could put it like that. The test works. If it fails after this, it's because of the code and not because the test itself fails. We could also assert that. What do we want to assert? We should pretty much just do an assert.equal rest.text. And that's because what we're doing when we're sending in something like that, we're actually getting back invalid unit. So the text that we get back should just be invalid unit. And that's enough for that test, really, because we're getting an okay code because the test works, but then we're getting invalid unit because what the unit we're sending in is not the right one. And then we have to do done as well, because otherwise this doesn't not work. And then we have another test here. We're gonna have to do a Chai.request. We're gonna request the server. We're gonna get /API/convert. We're gonna query, and we're gonna query this one. So input that, and since it's a query, this has to be a string, or has to, but it has to be a string because we have number and unit here. And then you have end, and there you go, assert.equal rest.status and 200. What did I do here? Alright, whoops. So function rs. So okay, and then we want to assert.equal, and we want to do pretty much the same thing as here, except we don't want to assert that the unit is invalid. We want to assert that the we want to assert that the number is invalid. So, and then we'll say done. Done here, we want to have invalid number and unit. So we start the same way. So Chai.request server, and then we get /API/convert. We query something, and we want to query. That has to be an object. We want to input something, and what we want to input is this one. Kilomegagram is not a valid unit, and the number there is not valid either. So we're querying that. We're gonna end this, and we're gonna have function rs, And in here we're gonna have an insert dot equal rest dot status 200. And we're also gonna assert dot equal rest dot text. And that one is obviously gonna be invalid. So invalid number and unit, or is it the other way around? Oh, right. This is the way it should be, right? I think we should use this, or it should be invalid number in unit, yeah. But the way I've written my code is that we're gonna get to this. I think, if I remember it correctly, let's do it done. Yeah, let's actually check that. I believe that it never gets to that because if the number is invalid, it never checks the unit. I think I did. We can run the test. Let's see what happens. Ooh. Huh. Oh. Right. Oh, let's complain about this. So if you look at this one, you can say the first one is failing. That one's interesting. Check it out. Check that later on. Anyway, this one gives invalid input unit. So those two are passing. This one is not passing. And you can see here that it's because it got invalid number, but it should be invalid number in unit according to the test, which is what we've written here. And as I said, the way I've written my code never gets to the check of unit and number. It just gets number. So I'm actually just having number here. And because of that, I should either make a comment here or remove this. I'm gonna do neither because this is just a practice project. But in real code, I would probably make a comment here about why I'm doing the way I'm doing it. Let's do this one before we run the test again. So we have a Chai.request server, and there we're gonna have a get /API/convert, and we're gonna have a .query, and we're gonna query input kg. So we don't have a number here, and if we input kg, we should realistically get pounds back, and the conversion of 1 kilogram to X amount of pounds, whatever it is. We should get that from it. So end function rs, and here we could do an assert.equal rest status is 200, hopefully. And we should also assert .equal whatever kilograms convert to pounds, really. That's what we should assert there. So we do rest.body.int_num is 1, because even if we don't write 1 kilograms here, we mean that, basically. That's how the code should interpret it. So we want to see if it gets a 1 there. So here we have an assert.equal rest.body.int_unit, and that one is actually written out. It should be kilograms. We also have an assert.equal rest.body.returnum. So we should get something returned. And what that something is, we could actually try in our application, but we could also Google it. And it should be something like 2.20462. And instead of equal here, we could be a bit smarter and use approximately. So, and just add the deviation here, so 0.1. And then we could assert .equal rest.body dot return unit, and there we just go pounds and done. Right? So let's do this again. Let's run them. Let's see what happens. And expected that to be a number. Right. This is not going to be a number, and the reason it's not going to be a number is because it's we return a string. That's what we return. So that's actually not the code that's not working. It's the test that's wrong. In that case, this is not good though. Huh. Right. What do you expect it to be a number? Huh. Why? Let's try this. Huh. Right. That's apparently how Chai works. If you use approximately, it's doing something with this. Anyway, that one worked. The only one that doesn't work here is the one I've not written myself. Let's see what's happening here. You're inputting 10 liters. End status. It's prob. Huh. It's going to 500. Let's see what happens here. So if you do an npm start here and input 10 liters, oh, it's probably, I think, I know what it is. So if we convert this, we set it this, right. So what's happening here is that they have a large L, and this should obviously work if we care about it. I think that for this application it's a bit unnecessary to account for this. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Anyway, what's happening is obviously that when you input, so let's talk. When you input something in this input field, you should obviously be able to write a large letter or a small letter, uppercase or lowercase, it shouldn't matter. The way the code is written now, I need to input a lowercase letter because otherwise it doesn't work. And we could go ahead and fix that, I think, pretty easily if we find where I have that. Should be in here. Well, anyway, if that's something you want to fix, go ahead and do that. I went the easy route for this and just made it so that you have to put in lowercase letters basically. It's not very good, obviously. It's better user experience if you can input whatever, but I felt that that's not really the point of this project, so to speak. You could obviously make these projects really, really good, but for me, when making these projects, I really just wanted to get them done so I could get my full stack certificate, and therefore I made them a minimum viable product pretty much, so I could build other projects with modern software. But that's completely up to you how you want to do it, obviously. If you want to make these properly, you should obviously make it so that you can input both lowercase and uppercase letters, and it's not a huge difference in the code either. Obviously, you just make a check somewhere for whether or not the letter is lowercase or uppercase, or maybe you convert it before you make a check or something. Again, I don't feel it's necessary. This is just to get the feel for writing tests, really. And we have some tests left to write, and we're going to do that in the next part. So right now we have these functional tests. They're all passing because I changed one, which is bad practice pretty much, because obviously I shouldn't have to change this one to make it work. And this one might want to be approximate. I don't know what the best practice is here, really, because obviously pounds and kilometers and miles and so on, they have their conversion rates, so they always return the same number if you input a specific number. So this doesn't have to be approximately. Anyway, let's do that in the next part.